Hi guys, Callum from the Bushcraft Cave here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to clean your Bushcraft knife, and we're going to go through the process from start to finish. There's going to be three processes. The first one is we're going to give the blade a clean in some warm soapy water. The second part is we're going to put the edge back on the blade, and then thirdly we're just going to use some oil to protect the blade and put a coating on there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is give the blade a rinse in some warm soapy water. I always take some washing up liquid with me in this bottle. This is in my cook kit, and I also just take a cheap sponge which has been cut in half. This is also included within my cook kit. I'm lucky enough to have my jet bowl with me, so I'm just going to warm some water up and add the liquid in there. If you're in an environment where you don't have a makeshift sponge or any washing up liquid or even anything to heat your water in, you can just use fresh water from a nearby water source, as long as it's not salt, because this is a carbon steel blade and it will instantly corrode. So just use some fresh water nearby, and you can use sphagnum moss as a makeshift sponge. So hopefully you can see, this is my more Bushcraft black here. Hopefully you can see that there's spots of rust, even though it's got this black coating on here, which is an anti-corrosive coating. Hopefully you can see there's spots of rust all over the knife here, and that's hopefully what we're going to try and remove. Okay, so all I've done here is I've literally just put the sponge in the warm soapy water. I'm just going to put down with a bit of pressure, use the abrasive side of the sponge. Just apply a bit of pressure, and those rust spots should come off fairly easily. Just be very careful to obviously work with the blade away from you so you don't cut yourself. So we're almost there now with this one. Just taking a bit of care when you're working towards the tip of the knife, not to go over and impale your finger on there. Okay, I think we're pretty much there now. As you can see from what I showed you a moment ago, all the rust spots have virtually come off. Just light pressure you have to apply, not too much, and that's cleaned up pretty well. Okay, so we're looking really good with this one now. The knife's bone dry, so there's no moisture on there whatsoever. I'm going to be using a DC4 whetstone, which is a really great field sharpening stone. It's got two sides to it. It's got a diamond side and a ceramic side. The knife edge is actually in pretty good condition anyway, so I'm going to be going straight onto the ceramic side. This isn't the way I would generally recommend to sharpen a knife. You should really have it on a flat and stable surface, but for the purpose of this video, it's fine. Just be very, very careful with the edge of the knife. Even strokes on both sides. One of the greatest things about just having a Scandi grind is that it's so easy to sharpen a knife. You just literally just have to set it up flush with the grind and go with it, and you'll hear that really smooth sound. Just got to be careful not to put a secondary bevel on the blade. Okay, so we've got a pretty good edge back on the blade now, so the last stage is to apply some oil. Okay, so we're almost there now. The very last stage is just to apply some oil back to our knife, which will form a nice protective coating and stop any rust forming. As I use my knife with food when I'm outside, I'm going to be using a food grade oil, and this is something that I would recommend that you do as well. I'm going to just be using olive oil here. If it was an axe or another type of tool or equipment, it doesn't really matter. You can use 3-in-1 oil or quick drying oil, but for tools that come into contact with food, it's always recommended that you use a food grade oil to stop digesting any harmful toxins and chemicals. Okay, so really happy with the end result here. I'll show you a close-up so you can see. If you remember what it looked like before, you can see that those rust spots have been removed. I put the edge back on, it's been oiled, and it's looking really good. And that will just literally go back in its sheath now, ready for when I need it next. As this bit is exposed carbon steel, it will naturally look a bit grubby over time because this is a couple of years old, and it will always form that kind of patina. So don't worry about that. I know that it's clean and it's sharp and it's safe. So I'm just going to put this back in its sheath, ready for its next use. Okay, so that's the end of this video. Really hope you enjoyed watching it and learned something new. If you've got any other different thoughts or opinions, you know, we'd love to hear from you, so please feel very welcome to leave a comment below. All our social media is there. So thank you so much for watching, we'll see you on the next video.